can even watch back, giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back, giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back, giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back, giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre, McGuire, and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years, Raymond Mark
The sickest NHL podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here in the Sick Podcast Network. Jimmy Murphy and Pierre McGuire. Pierre, just another boring afternoon, huh?
I was going to say I was so happy for Rick Tocchet and Flyer fans last night with their win over Washington.
One of my
I guess it
Betway
was
picks.
Rick's fault that they weren't winning.
Yep.
But anyways, I'm so happy for him and for their fans. They can actually be on the same page for a little while anyways until they play tomorrow night against Ottawa. Let's see. How about Ottawa going into Carolina? They hold Carolina 18 shots. The game before, they held Pittsburgh to 16 shots. They lose the game because of a bad line change, brutal line change, bad shooting by Dylan Cousins, great play by Jordan Staal, obviously, and Nikolai Ehlers with the quick heads up. So that was a cool game to watch. And how about Edmonton? Edmonton should have been mad last night, and for a good portion of the game, they played mad. Don't go to sleep on Toronto.
Yep. Okay, Pierre, I'm glad you brought that up. And yes, we know there was some very big news that just happened in the NHL, but quickly on what you're saying there. Quickly on what you're saying there, Pierre, and I'm glad you brought it up. Remember yesterday I told you about the letter that Connor McDavid penned in the Players Tribune and how like open he was compared to what we usually see. He's usually reserved and quiet. And, you know, he was hellbent. I want to win another cup. I don't want to just win gold. I want to win another cup. I want to win a cup. He's only won. Yeah. And he's saying, he's just over and over saying, I want to do it in Edmonton. If you're his teammates and you read that, combined with what you said on the heels of the game before, I don't know how you come out like that. I just, there's something missing there. There's just something missing.
Here's what I do know. That was urgency from Toronto.
Yep.
Willie Nylander, Mateus Michelli, Austin Matthews, Bobby McMahon just terrorized Alberta, where he's from, Wainwright, Alberta. He kicked butt in Calgary, kicked butt in Edmonton. How about the save? Anthony Stolarz, it was late, so I'm sure a lot of people didn't see it. The save by Stolarz on Draisaitl, holy moly.
Yeah.
Like, it was like artistic impression beauty? No. It was just a guy that wanted to roll around in the mud and compete and get dirty and make a save for his team. So
Tim Thomas,
I like that stuff. Now let's talk about the trade.
All right. So, yeah, as we've been all trying to figure out where Artemi Panarin would end up. And, you know, I mean, Pierre and I have been talking all afternoon, and I'd say as recently as the 2:00 hour, Pierre, right up until about 2:00, the two of us were hearing Tampa Bay. We were hearing them in there. We still heard Florida a little, and yet there was something. It just nothing was happening. It was almost like there's something out there that we don't know. We can't pinpoint. And sure enough, under the gun comes the LA Kings and general manager Ken Holland, who will be joining us here.
How appropriate, Jimmy, that you were able to pull that off.
I know, huh? That was nice. Good timing. I got to say, it was done this morning, the scheduling. But yeah, Ken Holland will be here in the Eye Test tomorrow to discuss that and all things Kings. But the thing we don't understand, Pierre, and there's been so much that's happened since the trade happened and since we spoke, is we had heard all along, there were so many different reports that all agreed that he was looking for $50 million and more than 2 years. I heard a lot of 4-year reports out there. And also that he was, you know, hell-bent on playing in Florida and more specifically with the Panthers. And now he just signed the extension, $22 million for 2 years. And now there's various insiders saying that it was LA all along and he never wanted to go to any other team. I don't know what to believe right now, but all I know is Artemi Panarin is an LA King, and the LA Kings are suddenly back in the discussion here to make it into the playoffs and potentially do something.
So let's go someplace where the insiders will never go. The facts. So Paul Theophanous is the agent for this player, Artemi Panarin. Paul Theophanous engineered him going to Chicago when he was an undrafted player coming out of Russia. Played in St. Petersburg. And I remember it clear as day. They brought him into the United Center and they put a spotlight in the rafters. And there was a number 72 in the rafters. The number 72 wasn't for him, even though that's the number that he wore and what he wore in Chicago. The number 72 is in the rafters because that was how many wins the Chicago Bulls had when Michael Jordan was there for one season. It was an NBA record. So Theophanis was part of all this when they got him to Chicago. Only there for 2 years. He gets traded for Brandon Saad. He goes and Anton Forsberg. Then he goes to Columbus for 2 years. Doesn't work out, but he goes to UFA status. Theophanis engineers an 7-year deal for over $80 million to New York. So you don't think the player trusts the agent? The player really trusts the agent. So in the last little while, Paul Theophanis, this is for the insiders. We'll help you out here.
Yeah. Quickly before you go on, I'm going to cut you off, but I want the listeners and viewers right now to understand what you said in our discussion. I want to say it was about 1:00. You said to me, he's really good with the Russians. He's got an imprint in Russia. He's got major Russian connections. All right, go on, because that's key.
You're talking about Paul Theophanis.
Yes.
Yes. And the answer is
that about 3 hours ago.
Yeah, I did tell you that.
Before we discovered something.
Yeah. And then, so Paul has joined CAA. CAA's boss of hockey is Pat Brisson. Pat Brisson lives in Los Angeles. This is all orchestrated.
Yep.
This is orchestrated unbelievably well by Paul Theophanis, Pat Brisson, and CAA. Because now look what happens. Anze Kopitar is leaving the LA Kings. Drew Doughty's not getting any younger. We all know that. Who's going to be the next big star in LA?
Artemi Panarin.
So that 2-year deal, I'm going to bet money right now, is going to turn out to be way more than a 2-year deal down the road.
Right.
I'm just betting you.
That was just done to probably help the team right now in the current with their cap issues, and it goes from there. And it's interesting too, because that story is Pierre and I were just discussing this and trying to figure out some connections there. And this story was published this morning. This announcement was made, and just hours later, the deal is orchestrated. So there's a connection there. And as you always teach me, Pierre, and I'm grateful for it, connect the dots.
So I'm really excited for him, Artemi. It's a great place for him to be going. He'll play with Kopitar, and I got to think Adrian Kempe. That line will be lethal. They're 1 point out of a playoff spot right now. I would imagine that they're going to get in. They're going to get in comfortably now, unless they have a rash of injuries, which I don't think they will. And then the rest is history. They're just going to go. They're going to go forward. I am, as much as I want to talk about all this hockey stuff, I really want to talk to our guest today. I miss him. You know, I used to see him all the time at the rinks in Boston, and he's a living legend. And he's going to be happy because Boston College is going to the Beanpot final.
Exactly. And he actually once upon a time donned a Kings jersey, but
the
jersey he's most proud of is the jersey that you're most proud of, Pierre. And that's the Pittsburgh Penguins. 2-time Stanley Cup champion from those teams that Pierre was an assistant coach on in 91 and 92. Join us right now, Kevin Stevens here on the Eye Test. Big man, what's going on?
What's going on, fellas? Good to be with you guys. Yeah, a lot happening, right?
Yeah, crazy day.
You've been in the gym. You have been in the gym.
I was in the gym. Then I just had to shovel my kid's car out. My daughter's coming home from Florida tomorrow, Pierre. So that's my duty, you know?
Oh, you're the best.
Dad.
Hey, you must be excited. BC's in the Beanpot final. You got to be pumped.
Yeah, I am. That was they had an easy task. Harvard really didn't play too well. I was at the games. They didn't play too well the first game. But the second game, you guys, was one heck of a game. I'm talking about up and down.
I watched it. It was great.
Energy. Yeah. You know, both teams competed real hard. BU's kind of off a little bit this year, you know, but Northeastern, they always come to play. You know that, Pierre. Your kid was there. They always come to play in those bean pots. They're a tough out in those things all the time.
I agree.
Hey, Kev, before we get into everything here, too, just, you know, what have you thought about this trade that just went down today?
Yeah, Panarin's, you know, it's tricky, right? He's one of those guys that's, you know, he's a great talent. You know, there's no question that he's a great talent. Now it's just how he's gonna fit, right? And that's always the big thing. You guys know that, Pierre. You've been on teams that just fit right and things go well, and then sometimes the fit isn't right, you know. So he's going into a place where they're looking, they need goal scoring, they need to produce some offense, you know, and hopefully he'll be able to help them do that and get them over the hump, because it's been a long time for that team, and they're looking to do the best they can do. You know, they, like you said, Kopitar's kind of getting out of here. He's retiring, and you know, Doughty's, you know, he's still playing really well, but he's getting on the older side too. So, you know, they're looking. Their time is now, right?
Jimmy, you know what's really interesting? Kevin was talking about guys fitting. I'll tell you a line that fit: Stevens, Lemieux, and Tocchet. And I want to ask you, I know about you and Mario. Believe me, I broke enough tape down. Why did Tocchet fit so well with you guys?
Yeah, Talk fit right in. He was, you know, just when Craig made all those trades, and he just seemed to get the right guys. You know, even like, you know, from Gordy Roberts to, you know, the Shell came over then, Kenny Reggett, and he came with Talk, and Talk he just fit. You know, we lost some of our best friends, Rex, and you know, some of these guys that had to leave.
Yeah,
you know, those are guys that I played with my whole life, and I loved them dearly, and I didn't want them to leave. You know, but you know, Craig seemed to do his homework. Talk fit right in. It was amazing. He was a hard worker. He just wanted to fit in. He wanted to be part of something, and he was a huge part of our team. Like and as was Shell, right? When Shell's the most underrated player, one of the most underrated players we had.
Yep.
And
Jimmy,
also,
you know what's pretty neat? If you were a defenseman going back to get pucks, you had Kevin on one side and you had Rick Tocchet on the other.
Yeah. and then the other team had Alfie and Shell back there hacking and whacking you. So good luck with that one.
Great stuff there.
Yeah, we had a pretty good package there. That team was pretty good.
We did.
Kev, getting to the current day Pittsburgh Penguins. Look, I think it's easy to argue that maybe one of, if not the biggest surprises in the NHL this season. What's been your take on how they've gotten to the point where they are right now?
Yeah, they've really come together too. I think Danny Muse has done a good job. He came in right at the beginning of the year, and you know, everybody, you know, when you talk about getting a new coach, there's a lot about the presence, right? What the like Talk has a presence, right? When he comes into a locker room, he has that presence. Danny comes into, and Danny's a smaller guy. You don't really know how things are going to go. He's got a lot of veteran players in that team, and he came in and did a great job right off the bat. He was he established what our team was going to be, and he's built that, and he's got the respect of the players, and we're just kind of playing. You know, we got our 4 lines set up. You know, Pierre, you see a lot of the game. We got our 4 lines set up pretty good. You know, that's on the Chari's line, and then, you know, with Malkin and the Russian that came over from Columbus, he's fit right in, and then with Rust and Sid and who's the right winger over there?
Raquel.
Yeah, Raquel. They've been playing together forever. So, you know, the lines are set up well, and the 6D have come in and done a great job, and everybody's kind of bought in. And Skinner's come over and played well. I had a little struggle last night. You know, we probably should have got 2 points last night. We needed that game, and but it's so important just to keep playing consistently. You know, I think we're 1-8 in shootouts. You know, that's like you know, that's what's killing us. We have 4 or 5 of those points, we'd be right on top of that division. You know, losing those points on those shootouts, those are tough. Those overtime losses, because everybody thinks, you know, they're nothing, but they add up at the end of the year, and those have been killing us.
It's a really good point, Jimmy. It's spot on. And I do all their pregame shows on the radio, and Kev nailed that one. Hey, Kev, what about your minor league team in Wilkes-Barre? I know how important you were in terms of identifying players and getting guys to go there. That team is kicking serious butt. They're doing fantastically well.
Yeah, they've been a big part of it, and it seems like Kirk McDonald's done a nice job down there with the guys, and it seems the guys that come up are ready to play. You know, that's the most important thing about those teams is you want them to win, because you want to build that culture, right? You want a culture down there that wins, so when they come up, they can bring that attitude, and they can bring that winning attitude up. But he's done a great job down there. The guys have played well for him, and you know, we're kind of rolling along down there, which is nice, because you know, it's nice to win any way you can. You know, you guys know how hard it is to win anything, right? You know, if you can win down there, it just is. Those guys, it's just important for them down there. It is to win up here. You know, that's just a big part of it. And if you know, those guys get a taste of the playoffs and they run through it a little bit and get a little taste, that's big when they come up and play up with us.
Kev, how about your blue line up on the NHL level too? Like Pierre and I have spoken about this a couple times, where the pairings just seem to, you talk about fit earlier, they just seem to fit perfectly. You got an offensive guy on one side, then you got a defensive guy on the other, and they've just blended together.
Yeah. That Waterspoon has been a find. That was him coming over and playing the way he's played has been huge. And Kulak, you know, getting Kulak in that Skinner trade, that was big for us, because he's a playoff guy, right? So if we go to the playoffs, he's one of these guys that's been through the trenches the last 3 years. You know, when you have you have guys that been there and know how to do it. It makes a big difference, and he's been great for us too. And then Ryan Shays played well. Him and St. Ivany, they were the 5-6 guys, and they were playing really well. Jack got hurt, but Ryan's been really good. Ryan's been one of those guys that, for us to be where we are, he's a big part of it, because we needed some strength and we needed some support back there. Some guys that can kill penalties. He's done that, and they've all played really well. And I think like you said, Waterspoon's been huge, and Kulak coming over, fitting in with Letang has been great.
Kevin's not going to pump his own tires, so I will. He played a role in a lot of those guys getting there, like St. Ivany and Shea, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And, Kevin won't say it, but Neil, Shea, and Kevin, they were teammates at BC. So there's a little internal knowledge there. That's okay. I know how good you are at your job, and that's why I want to give you a compliment, because you never, ever asked for any. Here's a big thing that I think. Your team is doing as good a job or better than – and it reminds me of when we were together – of guys getting better during the year.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, Kevin, a lot of teams have lost their way on that. Pittsburgh hasn't.
Yeah, that's important. You gotta keep getting better, because you can't once you stand still, the team's gonna go by you, right? You see it. These playoffs are so tight, and it's so hard to it's just so hard to make the playoffs. And once you get in, it really is, anything can happen. We've seen it, we've done it with our teams and other teams you see winning, but it's really important that they develop, and I think our guys have been doing a great job and staying the path. It's easy to get off path when you lose. We went through a stretch where we lost 5 or 6 games there, and we were blowing 5-1 leads, and it was like I didn't think we were ever going to win another game. Honestly, I was like, Jesus, this might end bad. We might go 0 for 40 the rest of the year. But it was we turned it around, but Danny stayed with the plan. He kind of stays with it, and you got to give those guys a lot of credit, the coaches, because they've worked hard. And like you said, it's about developing some of these young guys and the older guys. And Malkin's had a great year. He really has. He's probably been our best, most consistent player of the whole year. When he's in there, he's been probably our best guy, and obviously Sid's been great. But Malkin is a guy we needed to step up. We really did. If he would have went the other way, we would never be in the position we're in right now.
Kev, how about Kyle Dubas and just the job he's done? A lot of people were all over him back a year ago, not that far ago, and he's done a good job of figuring out the pro level and also stockpiling picks and prospects. What's it been like working with him as you've gotten to know him?
Yeah, Kyle's been great. He really works hard at his job, and that's all you ask for a guy at that position. He watches more hockey games. Pierre watches a lot of games. This guy watches a lot of hockey games too. It's one of those guys that, if you walk into his office, he could be watching the junior game in the morning, and he's just one of those guys that just really works hard at his job. I respect him a lot. He's brought in some pieces here that, who knew what, Mantha, who knows some of these guys, what they were going to do. And he believed in them, and they've done a heck of a job for us. And Kendall, the young kid, the 18-year-old, was a great pick. He's been. Yeah, he's a really good player. He's not really a flash in a pan here. He's going to be one of these guys. I watched him a little bit last night. He was flying around last night. He's the real deal, I think. And I think we got a home run with him. And that's, when you can get an 18-year-old kid playing up here, you guys all know it's hard for these 18. I went 4 years of BC, the Olympic team. I needed 5 big ones to get up here. These guys that come up at 18, it's just amazing how they can do it.
Yeah, the difference is you were pulverizing people when you did get up.
It took me a while up here.
I know. But I always tell this to everybody, and because we were there together, you were the hardest working guy we had. I never had a guy on the ice work like Kevin. It was unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
We had a lot of good role models there. That was the best thing about it. We had guys that kind of taught us how to do it, and then just kind of just follow along. We love to be at the rink. I love being at the rink.
Oh,
that was the best thing about it, I think, for all of us, Pierre, is that, that locker room, we had a day off on a Sunday. We were all in there, 20 of us are in there, either taking a steam and watching football, just hanging out with guys. That was a big part of it. That team was pretty close, I can tell you that much.
You're absolutely right. I couldn't agree with you more. So, Kev, I got to ask you this one. Honestly, the Olympics, you were part of it. Do you like the way the Team USA looks? Who do you like to win?
Yeah.
I don't want to put you in a tough spot, but I know you have an opinion on it.
Yeah, it's so hard in those one games, right, Pierre? Like USA and Canada and Sweden. Now, even all those 4 teams. You can if Sweden won the gold medal, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just they're that talented. But I'm a U.S. Canada guy, and I hope it comes down to those 2 teams. And you could when you get to those 2 teams, you got to flip a coin, right? It's just one of those. Your goalie gets hot. It's one game. It's not 4 out of 7. You don't have to worry. You got to try to find a way to win one game, and that's the best thing about it sometimes. But that's the worst thing about it sometimes too. That those one games are it's tough, but it's gonna be fun to watch. It's it's something that when I played in the Olympics, it was all amateurs, so I was still in that amateur level. But now it's with the pros, and it's exciting to watch. It really is. It's I'm looking forward to it, and I think all the guys are really looking forward to playing. So that's half the battle. Those guys are going to be invested. They want to win, and it's going to be a great battle.
Kev, my final one for you. I don't know if you've heard, Pierre and I have been talking about the last couple of days, what's been going on with talks and Mishkov and Philly and that mess there. And I wonder, though, we're talking about just how it's, there's a new generation of players, and you got to find a new way to coach and keep the old school, but also apply the new school. How does that factor in when you're scouting? How much of like the old way you used to scout do you have to combine now with maybe new ways of looking at a player?
Yeah, I still look at it the same way. I'm still looking for that player that competes hard, that works hard, that's going to give you everything he has all the time. He can make, obviously he makes plays, and he can play the game the right way. But you need someone that plays the game the right way. And I think and Talk believes in it. I talk to Talk a lot. I'm good friends with him, and he's he believes in that too. He believes in that. That's how he got to where he got, right? Talk came into Philly getting 390, 400 minutes of penalties, getting 1 goal. He ended up his career getting 50 goals and not getting 300 minutes. If you wanted to fight him, you weren't going to beat him. I can tell you that right now. So it's kind of, he turned himself into a player, and he believes that's what you should be. And I think he's old school. He obviously, there's things that maybe sometimes he has to do a little different that he didn't like, that he doesn't have to, but he does because the new age player, right? They're different. It's a different mentality. There's if we said some of the stuff that was said to us, Pierre, on the bench, and they said to these guys now, come on, these guys
you'd be arrested.
I'd be arrested.
I would
These
have been arrested.
guys would be curled up in a ball. They'd be curled up in a ball crying in the corner.
Kevin heard some good ones.
Oh God. I heard some good ones. I gave some good ones. But that was all part of the game. We all accepted it too. No one took anything personally. We're just trying to win. That was it. We're trying to win games, and that's all we tried to do was win.
So now that we understand that you're going to Mario Lemieux's fantasy camp, is it going to be a rematch between you and I for the championship?
The lock horns again. Those are good times. Those are a lot more serious than people think they are. I can tell you that.
I've been told. Trust me.
Yeah, I lost a little sleep after that loss to Pierre. I haven't been beaten for years, and Pierre stepped in and he pulled a couple of wrenches over me and got me. Are you
going to be in there on Sunday? Are you going to get there the 22nd?
Yeah, I'll be there that day. Yeah.
Okay, I'll see you there on the 22nd.
Yeah, I look forward to it. That's going to be fun.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank
you,
guys.
Kev, great seeing you, my man.
Guys. Thanks, Murph.
All right, have a good one. Kevin Stevens join us here on the eye test. He's just such a joy to talk to.
He is such a hey, you ask any player that was there, our practices were hard, man.
Yeah.
Trust me when I tell you. And Kevin and Jaromir Jagr just set the tone. It was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just telling you, they were hard. We had one player join our team. I won't tell you how or when. And he went up to one of our goalies and he said, like, this is supposed to be a morning skate. And I pretended I didn't hear because I was running the practice. And the goalie goes, yeah, this is a morning skate. And you know what? Tomorrow after the game will be harder. So if you think this is hard, wait till tomorrow.
Get ready.
I
love what he said, though. Pierre, what he says, and you always say this to me too. You guys always wanted to be around the rink. And
we always did. We were always
with each other. And I think, like Kevin was saying, look, obviously you have to pay attention to analytics today, and there's some new things you look at. But when it comes down to it, Pierre, I think if you see a player, a young kid, and you've said this to me when you do run your camps, and you can just tell how much he loves the game and how much he wants to be around his teammates, and that stands out. I mean, that's
Mhm.
a positive no matter what. Like the other stuff, hey, we can work on your stick handling. We can work on that. But just as long as that's built into him, that matters. No matter what, I don't care if it's 20 years ago or now or 20 years from now, that's always going to matter.
Like Sidney Crosby's a freak. He's at the rink
Oh, yeah.
all the time. You know, Nathan McKinnon is a freak. He's at the rink. I'm
Mhm.
sure Connor's the same. I don't know Connor
Yep.
as well personally. I know him as a player, obviously, but that's what's
Lane
great.
Hudson.
Like Lane Hudson is crazy. Demi
Oh, yeah.
Doc, crazy. You know, I'm going to say I always give him compliments, and I know he watches. Brian Trottier kind of set the tone when he came from the Islanders to our team in Pittsburgh. Like he was at the rink I'd be there breaking down tapes late in the afternoon.
Yeah.
All the guys were gone. They go for lunch, have a couple beers, whatever. It was a different NHL. Trotz would come in and start watching tapes with me.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, why don't you go with no, I want to hang around the rink.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Speaking of Trotz too, and I thought of it when Kevin was talking about chirping, as Brett Favre says, there was an epic troll of Brian Bellows with
It's
Trotz.
it's definitely one of the
not appropriate for this show, but
Trotz and Kevin
out
in
there.
Minnesota during the Stanley Cup final. That's a good one. I'm not sure you'd have to be over 16 probably.
Yeah, it's definitely not PG. It's
not PG now.
It's R for sure.
Yeah.
But it was
to be fair, I think I've heard a little worse, but it's okay.
But no, it's he's a great example there, and obviously it's so great what Kevin's overcome in his life and his career too.
Superstar human, superstar player, superstar human. I'm telling you, Jimmy, you go watch the tape in 1991-92.
Mm-hmm.
He has over 100 and something points, and the only guy that had more points than him is Mario. And I'm just telling you, Kevin was so good, and I would drive him and push him and scream at him, and it was all good.
He loved it. He's great to have. Well, great to have Kevin back on here. I know he listens all the time. It was great to talk to him. I miss him. Pierre, did you want to go back to the trade again there?
Yes,
Also,
we need to.
Pierre, by the way, it kind of flew under the radar there right before the Panarin trade. The New Jersey Devils acquire Bjugstad.
Yeah.
Interesting deal there. Just trying to figure out what
I think St. Louis is looking to put somebody in the American Hockey League in Springfield, try to get something going with Bordelot. Bordelot's had a good year in Utica. Utica's not a very good team, but yeah, I think that's kind of what that was about.
Yeah. Okay. Jersey's going to be an interesting team, though, when we come out of the break to see where
I don't know, Jimmy. I don't like to speculate.
No, I don't. I feel, I obviously know Fitz well, and I hope they figure it out.
I just feel bad for everybody there. The scouts don't have contracts, most of them for next year.
Yeah.
It's a really difficult situation there. Yeah. And I know Columbus is playing well, but you get shut out on home. And I know Jack Hughes isn't playing. I get all that stuff, but can't lose to them 3-0.
All right. Before we get to our sponsors and my picks, Pierre, one thing I want to say too, and because I've had some friends and listeners ask, when we'll start to talk and sort of tee up the Olympics. We'll get going on that next week for sure.
Well, so if we want to do the women actually start tomorrow.
I know. Did they always do that before the opening ceremony?
I think one day, because curling's already started.
Is that from just because of TV?
No, it's just because there's so many events and they only have so many rinks. So they squeeze everything, and it's gotten bigger. Yeah. So I know the women start tomorrow.
That's right.
And the men start, I think, the 11th.
Correct.
So we have some time. I think what we should do for the men is probably do it on Monday.
That's what I'm thinking.
And go from there. But the women's thing is going to be interesting because I don't see anybody that can rival Canada or USA, like with all due respect to Sweden and Finland and Czechia and Germany. And I don't.
In other words, you're saying the bronze is a crapshoot.
Yeah, the bronze is.
Okay.
And I'd be surprised if anybody beat the Americans this year. In women's, wow. I'd be really surprised. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, we'll get going on the men's on Monday. Looking forward to that. And like Kevin said too, if Sweden hadn't been ravaged by injuries, that was one of his dogs.
The Leo Carlson one and the Jonas Brodin one, those two injuries.
Yeah. Landeskog is going.
Landeskog's good, but those two guys, That's huge for a team like Sweden. It's just mammoth for a team like. So think about Canada can replace Nathan McKinnon or Connor, but Sweden can't replace Leo Carlsson. They don't have anybody.
No.
Like all their guys that could have replaced, they're retired. They don't have those guys yet. They're just not cycling like that right now. It's a problem. And Brodin's so good defensively. Never, ever did he get enough credit as a player in the league for being so good defensively.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get to our sponsor. I see a lot of questions lined up. Obviously, people are excited about the trade today and the Olympics coming up. All right, let's talk first, though, about our new sponsor, Verify.
Yeah.
They are luxury condo hotel rooms. You can rent them monthly, you can rent them annually, or you can rent them nightly as well. They've got 6 different locations across the city of Montreal. I will be staying there when I'm up there for our Olympic shows at Vago, Olympic lunch at Vago in a couple of weeks, and also when I'm up there for our St. Patrick's Day show at Hurley's Irish Pub. Really looking forward to it. I stayed there once already. They got kitchenette, a living room, a terrace. It's great. And the one I was at is in Griffintown. I highly suggest it if you decide to go with Verify. Check out that Griffintown establishment for sure. And as I mentioned, I will be there. The medal round of the men's tournament, which is the second full week of the Olympics. I'll be at Vago from noon to 1 every day, broadcasting live. In between the games. There'll be games in the morning and games early afternoon. So we're going to go right in between to react to the games that we just played and then look ahead to the games that are set to go. Really looking forward to that. And of course, we tell you about their food. It's amazing. Look at what they do here. They've been combining old and new world classic Italian dishes for over 23 years, private dining rooms for any occasion. They are open Monday to Saturday evenings and lunch from Tuesday to Friday. They are located at 1336 Green Avenue in Westmount. For reservations, call 514-846-1414. Again, that's 514-846-1414. And, of course, our friends over at Betway. We can still go all the way with Betway and bet those beauties. If you're not a member yet, I keep telling you, get up there. It's Super Bowl weekend now. They got all the props up. You can bet what, the coin toss is going to be or how many songs are played in a halftime show. Whatever you want is up there right now. I was looking through all the little unique ones. I'm going to find a real fun one. We'll talk about it on Friday's show before the Super Bowl. But go there right now to that QR code right in front of you, or go to the member section, fill out your details there, and get up to $300 back on your first deposit, even if you lose. You must be 18 plus. Always bet responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. And one of the terms is you cannot bet in Ontario with Betway right now. Hopefully soon, but not right now. And by the way, Mr. White is saying Jameson shots on me at Vago whenever you're there. After the show, not before. But okay.
That's cool. That's cool.
Sounds good to me, my friend. All right, let's go to my picks right now. Big night again in the NHL as we wind down before the Olympic breaks. The Chicago Blackhawks go into Columbus to play those Blue Jackets who just keep winning ever since Rick Bowness went behind the bench. But I like Chicago to take them to the extra session here. Give me the draw. Give me the overtime at plus 300. The Montreal Canadiens are in Winnipeg to face the Jets, coming off a great game against Minnesota. They weren't able to win, but I like them to bounce back in this one. Samuel Montembeault getting a start. Give me the Canadiens at minus 1.5 at plus 225 value. And then I'm going to go out to Dallas, where the Dallas Stars are hosting the St. Louis Blues. Another team, speaking of trades, I think we're going to see some from them before the deadline for sure. Their name is everywhere right now. They're having a tough time, though, on the ice, and that's why I like the Dallas Stars at minus 1.5 at plus 120 value. All right, what do we got? Simo, Pierre, what would you do in the offseason if you're Kyle Davis and make this a playoff team next season? They have Frundell and Kanserov coming as well.
Well, those are two good prospects, obviously, and I think their defense will continue to evolve. I try to add more of a veteran presence on defense, a guy that's a stopper on the back end. They've got a lot of good young players. I think they need a little bit more maturity back there, but I don't know what they're going to do with Connor Murphy. It's going to be really interesting to see. It looks like Mikheyev is going to get traded out of there. So we'll see. I think they're going to be active going into the trade deadline, the Chicago Blackhawks.
All right. Next question. What do we got? Marco. Excuse me. Hey, Jimmy and Pierre. Hey, Marco. Thoughts on the Canadiens pairing Connor Murphy with Lane Hudson or Gooley if they were able to acquire him? What would it take to acquire him? And would he help spread out the minutes better?
Yeah, Connor would. He's a professional player. I've known him a long time. It's funny going back to when he was playing internationally for Team USA as a kid, and they brought him onto the ice in Columbus to introduce him because he was living there. He grew up there because his father was playing there and then coaching there. So I've known him a long time, like him a lot. He would fit in well in Montreal. He would fit in well.
Dad, of course, Gord Murphy.
What would it cost? That's a good question. I'm going to say probably a mid-round pick, maybe a low, like a second or third round pick.
All right, next question. Michael Maloney, hi, Pierre. Do you think clubs are going to start pulling away from offering no movement clauses? If Panarin, in fact, only wanted to go out to LA, as some are claiming right now, your buddy Drury had absolutely no leverage there. Insane to me.
Oh, I think they had leverage.
Yeah.
But I've always been a proponent, and I learned this from Brian Burke. Don't just throw those things around, those no trades or no moves like they're candy. And for a long time, that's what GMs were doing. And now I think they figured out it's like poison. You can't do it with everybody. It's just not going to work. So I don't know I think Chris probably had leverage, but I think they had a fascination with Liam Greentree. They know the Windsor program well. They drafted Will Cooley from there. Cooley's been a very good player for them. Greentree's been a 4-year junior player. He's put up substantial numbers. He's played internationally for Team Canada in the World Junior. He's a big kid. He's a right winger. I think, potentially he's probably a 55 to 70 point player. Really could be in the NHL. So I don't think they did poorly. I think they did well. I wish they would have got a second round pick with that. But that's where you're kind of at. Where you're kind of at.
All right, next question. What do we got? There we are. Renaissance Resistor. Do teams actively scout and keep lists of potential coaches, head coaches, assistants, specialists, etc., rising through the ranks?
They better. I've had a list, and I have it right there. Well, you can't see it, but in my desk. The guys I think are the best physical trainers, the best trainers for skate sharpening, guys that are good amateur scouts, guys that are good pro scouts, guys that are really good in Europe. If you're not keeping a list of that, guys that run good practices, guys that run bad practices, if you're not keeping a list of that, guys that are good college coaches, guys that are good junior coach, if you're not keeping a list of that, you're no good at your job.
Yeah, you got to be prepared. All right, next question. Hendricks that can play. There's always these guys that like to joke around and do pranks. Any good stories?
I got one on Alfie Samuelson. I got a lot on Alfie Samuelson. We were playing Washington in the playoffs, and we were eating at a restaurant called Reardon's, which was right down in Annapolis, where we used to stay during the playoffs. And Alfie would shoe check everybody, and everybody was expecting him to do it. And it was like he was a magic man. He was like Houdini. He'd pop in one spot and pop. And so you'd get up and you'd always be checking your shoes because there'd be sour cream either on them or in them. Alfie was so good at that. And then, Paul Coffey would dangle a dollar bill with cord on it and in an airport, because we used to fly commercial and pull it. And you see these people chasing after it. Oh, there's a lot of them. There's so much. I know one time, and I don't know who did it to me, but somebody did it to me. They put salt in my coffee.
Oh, geez.
Rather than sugar.
Ugh.
So as soon as I took the first sip, I knew, but I wasn't going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So I just drank it. I just drank it all.
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, that was really good." And I walked away. I don't know who did it. Somebody did it, though. It was pretty funny. I was laughing about it.
All right. Next question. What do we got? Harold Snyder. Should Team Canada be concerned about McDavid potentially being compromised going to the Olympics? I'm not sure I follow.
Compromised by what? I don't know.
Yeah. How so? If you want to rephrase a question or give us a little more context to it, and we'll answer it. No problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next question. Ethan Russell. What's up, Ethan? Do you think the Rangers acted like this was the actual trade deadline? What's the rush? It seems like they cornered themselves so much by scratching him until they found a trade. The Kings seem to have a lot of leverage.
Oh, here's what I think, Ethan. He'd been out for almost a week now where he hasn't played.
Yeah.
And at some point that wasn't going to fly with the league. And it was ruining the competitive balance. Mm-hmm. I think some other teams were getting mad about that. So I think the Rangers had to do something. They call it quote unquote roster management, I think is what they call it. We used to just call it making a guy a healthy scratch.
I think Pierre too, he just wanted to, after writing that letter, maybe he just wanted to get this going. Let's start the process and get him out of here and see what we can do. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if it backfired on him or not. If that's
look, Green Tree's going to play in the NHL. He is. He's going to play in the NHL. And he's a big kid. He's 6'3". Like the league's getting bigger now. It's not getting smaller.
Yeah.
All the leagues are getting bigger. All the small guys are kind of disappearing. I feel bad because there was a rumor, there was a position for smaller players when the red line first came out because the bigger guys couldn't keep up. Now all of a sudden the bigger guys can keep up and the red line's out. So it's a bigger guys game again. Whereas they thought it would be more small guys, now it's a bigger guys game again.
All right. Next question. Chris Blue Shirts. Hey, guys. Pierre, can you give me 3 reasons why the Panarin trade makes sense and helps the Rangers? Do you think Panarin said LA and nowhere else? I think this is a bad trade. Thanks.
Well, we don't know what other teams offered. So I would just say, like I said before, Green Tree will play in the league. He's a point getter in Windsor. They know Windsor really well because of Will Cooley. I think that helps a lot. And the Rangers need some heft. They need some size. They need some guys who are going to bring some physicality. And I think that probably fits into what Mike Sullivan wants as well. In terms of why it's a good trade for LA, you put him on a line with Kopitar and Kempe. That's going to be an elite line. They're 1 point out of a playoff spot right now. He's going to bring more than enough offense to get him into a playoff position. And I think the biggest thing in LA, ownership did not want Anze Kopitar in his last year not to be a playoff player. Yeah. And, after 20 years of amazing service, he's going to retire at the end of this year. And I think ownership and management wanted him to be treated with the best opportunity to be a playoff team.
And just the part on where he says, you think it was LA or nowhere else for Panarin. Look, I had heard much differently that there were other teams he was willing to go to. One of them specifically the Florida Panthers. But your colleague right now, Pierre, just tweeted this from Elite Prospects. Cam Robinson says, I think there are a couple teams surprised to hear these reports that Artemi Panarin was only ever interested in LA. That doesn't match the messaging they had been operating under for the past week or so. So
I agree with Cam.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I agree with Cam 100% on that. And one other thing, and this is important. Jimmy and I talked about it earlier in the show, so I don't know if everybody heard it. Paul Theophanis is the agent, and Paul Theophanis got him to Chicago from St. Petersburg, number one. So there's trust there. Then he goes from Chicago to Columbus. There's more trust there. Then he signs an $81 million deal with the New York Rangers. There's huge trust there. He stays there for 7 years. Now, Paul Theophanis has just joined forces with CAA, led by Pat Brisson. Their headquarters is in Los Angeles. Like everything's lining up here.
Connect those dots. All right, next question. David Robinson. What's up, Dave? Great show as always. Thank you. Thank you. Are there some hardworking LA players who will get a bit of freedom and shine more now that Panarin comes in? That's a good question.
Yeah, it is, and it's true. So Kuzmenko, I think, is one. Kevin Fiala is another one. Yoel Armia is another one. Corey Perry. People forget Corey Perry's there, and he knows his role. I think it's going to help Byfield too. I think it's going to help Byfield long term. So there's a lot, but I think the biggest aid is going to be Anze. Anze, if you play him with Anze and Kempe, that line's going to be crazy. It'd be really good.
Next question. What do we got? Mr. White, what's up, my friend? What is Fitz doing clearing Palat's cap space for Nick Bukestad and Maxim? I can't pronounce the name here. Siplikov. Okay. I know Tom is your guy, but I'm flabbergasted by this, especially after the showing they had yesterday against Columbus. Mr. White, look, he may be my friend, but I can't argue with that. I'm baffled by this too.
I'm shocked by it.
Yep. And that was a bad showing in Columbus for sure. All right, next question. B56, how can Jack Guy possibly learn if he is playing 6 minutes a game? Give the guy a chance to play. Everybody makes mistakes. Pierre, you agree?
I talk about this all the time with Tony Marinaro. Either you're going to play him or you're not. And if you're not, let him learn and practice. But if you are, you got to get him over 10 minutes. Not going to learn that way. And I think they know that.
All right. Next question. Brian Goldman, 82. Question for Pierre. I've noticed the Habs concede the blue line on the PK. Why is that? Opponents make entries tough on them, but they seem content to force the play at the top of the circles. Why?
It's a schematic that they like. That's just how they're being taught to kill penalties. Everybody's got their own philosophies. I'd prefer more up ice pressure. I like to thwart the attack in the neutral zone rather than my own zone. But everybody's got their own philosophy. Some are bend, don't break. Some are really aggressive. When the opposition team gains the line, they establish pressure points and everybody works in cohesion. Everybody's scheme is different. So that's how Montreal's scheme works.
All right, next question. Stagger 1619, not to beat a dead horse, but hockey ultimately comes down to goals. How is a top 3 goal scorer in the world not an Olympian that sends about 300 hockey players? Is someone trying to play hero here?
Yeah, I'm really surprised. You heard Kevin talk about it.
Yeah.
It's hard to put those teams together. I'm surprised by some of the guys that aren't playing. I'm surprised Jason Robertson's not playing. I'm surprised Cole Caulfield's not playing. I'm surprised. I'm surprised Mark Scheifele's not on Team Canada. I'm just surprised. I'm surprised by these things. I'm happy for Sam Bennett. I feel terrible for Anthony Cirelli.
Yeah,
I really do. I feel terrible for him.
All right, next question. Gabriel Lamb, would Nashville consider Brendan Shanahan as a president of hockey ops?
I would think so.
Yeah, probably. All right, next question. Sound the siren. Guys, have you watched the My World segments out by the NHL? The Roman Josi one just confirms what a quality dude that guy is. I hope Nashville figures that out too. I have not seen that, Sound the Siren. I'll check it out.
I have not. I've seen the ads for it. Roman is a phenomenal guy. He married a girl from New Jersey. He's just a tremendous human being. Been around him since he played World Junior for Switzerland, and I know he's played over 1,000 games in the NHL right now. But every time I've had a chance to visit with him, it's always been a high class event. He's an amazing kid. He really is.
All right, next question. Matthew Cesar. Hey, Pierre, I think the ideal third pairing the Habs should acquire is Trouba. He's physical, a leader, shoots right, and Gorton gave him his last contract. I don't see the Ducks letting him go.
I don't see Anaheim moving him. And, the one thing you got to understand, he's an American kid. He's American, and he's not getting younger. He's getting older.
And he's loving it there right now.
Their taxation implications, their education implications. I don't see that working.
All right, next question. Formosan Moose, either Matt Dumba, or right-handed D, or Kevin Hayes, a right wing, left shot, worth taking a gamble on for the Habs. And what would it cost to acquire them from the Penguins?
Not very much in terms of the cost. You're talking about a mid-range pick, maybe 4th, 5th round pick. I would not personally.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Perlo Wisdom. Hey, Perlo. Are there more significant players on the way out of New York, or are they going to now add to what they have? No, I think there's more.
I think there's more as well, Perlo. I do. I think there's more.
All right. Next question. Emil Shelburne. Should the Habs go after Robertson?
What's the price? It depends on what the price point is.
I'm taking he means Jason, not Nick.
No, he means Jason.
Yeah.
I would. He would fit really well.
I would do it. I actually been thinking about this.
I would do that. Now, it depends. Like, if you're telling me I got to trade Michael Hayes, the answer is no, I'm not doing that.
Yep.
Tell me some other prospects, and I'd probably think about it, but I'm not trading Michael Hayes.
All right, next question. Mr. White again. With the way the wheels are falling off in Jersey, what are the odds of Nico Hischier extending this summer with the Devils? As much as I like his play, I think they need a new captain.
I think they're going to try to extend Nico. I do, because he's such a quality human being, and he's a great leader. I don't know if you saw this, Jimmy, but he's been really sick the last little while. He's lost 10 pounds.
Oh,
he's been really sick. I think they'll try. It depends who the manager is. I mean, if Tommy's back, I bet they try. If Tommy's not back, who knows? Who knows?
There's a lot that could happen there.
There's a lot going on in Jersey, Mr. White. There's a lot going on there.
Okay, next question. What do we got? David Robinson again. Which team getting into playoffs has the best group of assistant coaches right now? Interesting.
Right now, that's a good question. I got to go around the league and think about it. Quietly, I'd say Carolina does. Jeff Daniels is one of my favorites. I had the privilege of coaching him, and phenomenal guy. I'd say Pittsburgh's assistant coaches are outstanding right now. They really are. I don't think people give them enough credit. I'm just going around the league where guys have made an impact as assistant coaches. What about Steve Spott in Boston?
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Spotter's made a big difference there.
Oh, my gosh. Night and day with that power play.
I'd say the guys in Tampa have done a magnificent job.
Yes. Yep.
Guys in Tampa have
Actually,
done a really,
who's
really
running the
good
D
job.
there, Pierre?
Rob Zettler.
Yeah, I mean,
They've done. There's a bunch of teams, honestly, this year, and Jimmy knows. I don't think the coaches are going to make a difference this year, but they're going to make a difference in the regular season. It's in the playoffs. If you don't have a good owner, you don't have a good GM, and you don't have a good pro scouting staff, and you're not going to do anything in the playoffs this year because there's too much parity. You got to make everybody's going to have to make a deal. There's no perfect team, not even Colorado. There's no perfect team.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Ethan Russell again. If you're Nashville, would you look into Kevin Adams as their new GM, especially if they look into a rebuild? Not trying to make it uncomfortable to answer, just curious.
You're not making it uncomfortable.
Ethan, that's a valid question.
No, the answer is no. I would not.
Yeah. But I mean, I think too, one thing I'll say about Adams is, everyone's saying they're on this win streak because he got fired. I don't think that's necessarily true.
Neither do I. But I personally would not pursue him. No.
All right. Next question. Stagger 16-19. The Habs traded up to move. The Habs traded to move up and pick Age. They traded their 2 seconds to move up for Zorowski. How are teams going to compete with this if the Habs keep knocking later picks out of the park? It's a good question.
Well, there are teams that draft pretty well too, but Nicky Bobrov's done a really good job. I mean, Demidov his fingerprints are all over Demidov. Mm-hmm. His fingerprints are all over Zorowski. I think Marty Lapointe's fingerprints are all over Hage. So no, the scouting staff, and there are a lot of other people that work on that staff, by the way. Their scouting staff is good. It's really good.
All right, next question. Seamoke, Pierre and Jimmy, do you think Adam Nightingale will be on NHL team's short list for assistant coach or head coaching spots if they open up this summer? I feel like he should be.
He will be. The college part of it is the two Nightingales are two Nightingale brothers. One's at Michigan State, one's coaching down in Rockford. David Carl is still, Greg Carvel. Are we getting Greg Carvel on this week?
We are. He'll be on Friday. We pre-recorded, obviously.
So he's another one. Nate Lehman is another one. Rand Pecknold's another one. There are a lot of guys out there right now. I wouldn't say that anybody's right at the top, but there are a lot of guys. If there's going to be a mass amount of coach firings, there's going to be a lot of new guys, I think, coming in.
All right, next question. Tim Goswell. Hey, guys. With the compressed schedule this year, did the NHL drop the ball by not implementing extended rosters?
It's not the NHL. It's got to be collectively bargained with the NHLPA. So there's a lot of moving parts there. I just think they wanted to have labor harmony, which they did. Mm-hmm. Part of that is getting to go to the Olympics because I don't think there are a lot of owners that were really jacked up to go to the Olympics. So that was used as a chip in collective bargaining. So now the answer is, I think it's set up very well. I really do.
All right, next question. Ethan Russell, do you think Matthias Samuelsson should have been considered to replace Seth Jones? He's fun to watch, and this has been an awesome year.
He's been phenomenal to watch. Yeah. I'm so happy because I coach his father, and I see the kid play, and I'm thrilled to death for the dad and for the kid. I think he could have been in consideration. The American team on defense is crazy deep. Let me just run through the names. Werenski, Slavin, Sanderson, McAvoy, Quinn Hughes, Jackson Lacombe, Noah Hannafin, Brock Faber. That defense is crazy, Jimmy.
Yeah, for sure.
Come on, that's crazy defense.
Sorry, a little distracted here, Pierre. Breaking news right now from our friend Mike McMahon. Does a great job covering college hockey.
Yeah.
Penn State forward and potential #1 draft pick Gavin McKenna is facing felony assault charges after an incident on Saturday night where he broke an individual's jaw. Whoa. Wow.
So they go and they have their outdoor game, and it's a massive success. This is where I tell all young players, nothing good happens after 12 o'clock.
Yep.
Go home.
Wow.
That's significant.
That's very significant.
And, if you're him, you got a target on your back all the time because everybody thinks you're a tough guy. You just can't win. Just walk away. I know it's easy to say, look, I've been in trouble too, so I'm not going to try to preach, but yeah.
And I want to give credit where it's due. Actually, Mike was said Onward State. I'm not sure who that is. It's a college
Well, I'm glad you did that. And
It's
thanks
a
to Mike.
student-run Penn State news site. Were the first to actually break it. And they are saying 4 charges, including a felony of aggravated assault after an alleged altercation in a downtown club.
Like I said, well, not only that, the club's going to get in trouble too, because guess what? He's underage.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. That's not good.
No.
All right, what do we got next? Gabriel Lamb, what was the report?
I'm leaving this to you. I am done with it. Go ahead. Tell everybody.
Sorry, no, 1 sec. My connection's a little funky right now, Pierre. You hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, so when the news came that Barry Trotz was stepping down and that CAA was going to be part of the search committee, along with Nick Saban, who has stake in the team, Pierre said this might not go over well with the league because it's usually not allowed. And since then, there's been various reports, a lot of them today, saying that the league is looking into it and something might be done regarding this. So, yeah, we had that first here on the eye test on Monday, because I asked you straight out on the show, Pierre. I said, it seems weird that they would allow an agency that represents players to conduct a search for a general manager. And sure enough, the NHL is not happy.
So what happened was in the early 1990s, agents used to represent players and coaches. And I won't give the name, but I had a really high-profile agent who represented a ton of high-profile players. And most of my contracts early in my career were orchestrated by this agent. And then the league and the Players Association said, you know what, that's a conflict. It's not good. So agents at that time either had to choose to go represent players or leave and go represent coaches and managers. Most of the playing guys stayed with the playing. They stayed with the players. There were other guys that came in to fill the void for the coaches and the managers.
Mm-hmm.
And so as soon as I saw it, I'm like, there's no way that's flying.
Yeah.
I was affected by it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to let go of my agent. My agent was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I had to.
Second we saw it, we were, whoa.
I said to Jimmy, I said, there's going to be a problem here.
Yeah. And now it's blowing up. So,
yeah. Well, I'll say this, and this is the only, and I won't get too deep on it, but I told Jimmy, this is going to be a major problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. And this is a perfect example of, if you're a hockey person, you know the rules of the road.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not a hockey person, but you're an owner of a hockey team, it's not like running your own business. It's a way different entity. Yeah. And I would tell any owner, whether it's the people in Nashville or people in Arizona or in Utah, go to the Board of Governors and pick out an owner who's been around the league a long time and talk to them, because they'll explain the rules of the road to you.
All right, next question. Emil Shelbourne, if Montreal doesn't give Laine offensive playing time, how would sending him back to Winnipeg look?
I don't think Winnipeg would take him back.
Yeah.
His contract's up at the end of the year. I'd be really surprised. I haven't been, Tony Marinaro and I do those post-game shows with Maxwell Pierre and Brian Wild. I haven't been optimistic that he was going to be playing anytime soon for Montreal. I just haven't been.
Yeah, I do think he gets moved too, but I don't know if it's Winnipeg. All right, next question. Jacob Perez. If you're Montreal, is it cost-controlled Rob Thomas not the dream acquisition? Could Kapanen, Reinbacher, Doc, and a first get it done?
Oh, that would get it done.
Yeah, I think so.
That would get it done.
Does Montreal do that, though? That's the only thing.
Yeah, that would get it done. My biggest concern on Robert is the surgery that he's having.
Exactly. We don't know much about that yet.
Well, they say it's just a standard cleaning procedure, but I've seen guys that have had standard cleaning procedures that have had issues afterwards.
Exactly.
It can start with infection, or it could start with somebody, not doing the right thing. So, but Robert Thomas, if he's healthy, is that the way that was compiled there?
That's a creative offer there. Good job.
That would get it done.
All right. What's next? Marco, question for both of you. Who's the new most underrated player in the league? It was Barkov a couple of years back. Who is it now?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
That's a great question. All around the league. Could you say, I don't know, maybe I'm just having recency bias and I hear so much about him because of you and watching Tony. What about Kapanen?
He's underrated and he's good. And unless you watch Montreal play all the time, you don't know how good he is.
Yep.
So I think that's a good choice. I really do. I'm going to tell you one. Parker Wotherspoon of Pittsburgh.
Oh, that Kevin just spoke about. Yep.
He's playing as a 1-2 in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He played 7 years in the American Hockey League.
Pierre, and he was with the Bruins for a bit too.
No, he was Islanders and Bruins.
I liked him a lot here.
Parker
he was like
Wotherspoon. Nobody even knows his name. They don't even know how to say his name because I've heard people say, "Oh, Parker Weatherspoon." No, it's Wotherspoon.
Good guy in the locker room too, from everything that I know.
So I'm going to say him. I'm sure there are other guys out there. Like if you don't watch Detroit all the time, you don't know how good Lucas Raymond is.
Oh my gosh.
Like Lucas Raymond's really good. But if you don't watch Detroit all the time, you don't know.
I'm trying to think of somebody out west, Pierre, maybe that, the majority of our listeners and viewers aren't seeing. Like, is there
that would be
anybody
an underrated guy?
Yeah. Maybe somebody on Anaheim?
Like people know because they got all those young stars. It's
yeah. I'll think about it.
I'm trying to think. Is Shea Theodore underrated in Vegas?
No, I think he's got enough love.
That's what because he plays both sides. They're a lefty that plays it right, but he's a good player. So I like Parker in that role.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. All right, that's it actually for our questions today. Thanks to everyone for your awesome questions. We appreciate it. Thank you to Shane working the boards in Montreal. Thanks to Kevin Stevens for joining us. Always a pleasure talking to Kev. And reminder too, we will be on the road soon. Within 2 weeks, I'll be back up in Montreal doing our Olympic shows at Vago. And then in March, we'll start off up at Lake Placid for the women's ECACs. Then we'll go to Montreal for St. Patrick's Day at Hurley's, and then back to Lake Placid for the men's ECACs. And who knows, by then, maybe we'll have another trip lined up here. I got a feeling.
Hey, before we go, I just it slipped my mind yesterday. I felt really bad about it. The oldest living Leaf just passed away, Jim Morrison. And I knew Jim really well, and his son Dave as well. His son Dave played in the NHL in LA and Vancouver. Jim played a long time, played almost 800 games in the National Hockey League. He was a legendary scout with the Boston Bruins, Jimmy. He was a legendary scout. And for us young guys that broke into the business, in the late 80s, early 90s, guys like that, Red Sullivan, Doug Robinson, Jack Bowman, those guys meant Marcel Pronovo, like Tommy, those guys meant a lot. They taught us a lot, the young guys. And if you listen, you could really learn, like to be invited to their suite after, they'd all have nice rooms and they'd have a bottle of scotch or beers and everybody would go back to one room. And if you were a kid, you just sit in the corner and you listen.
Yeah.
And they talk about players and they talk about people you learn from and they talk about different scouting tricks. Mm-hmm. And it was like going to graduate school. It was really good. And I saw yesterday that Jim had passed away, and I forgot to.
I'm glad you brought it up here because I forgot to ask you about it. I figured you'd.
Yeah, and to the Morrison family, I got to know Dave a little bit. I knew his father, obviously the dad, pretty well, and I was thinking about them yesterday and today. So I just wanted the Morrisons to know, thinking of them. Jim was a really cool guy. He was fun. He was always immaculately well dressed. He was sharp, really sharp.
Did he sing a good rendition of LA Women or no?
Yeah, now you're digging deep here. You're catching me.
Anyhow,
that guy buried in Paris? That guy you're talking about? Yeah,
I think so. All right, great stuff here. Again tomorrow, Kenny Holland, LA Kings general manager, join us here on the Eye Test. We'll obviously talk about the big trade today and all things Kings. But until then, have a wonderful night. Enjoy the hockey, and we'll see you back here on the Sick Podcast Network tomorrow.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.